Now, Rivers is still in search of peace. Many political analysts say the current crisis can only be resolved over a round table and not in the courtroom. The implications of this crisis may soon be reflecting on the development of the state. Marvin Yobana, who is a former Africa representative, World Assembly of Youths, joins us from Port Harcourt to look into this issue or these issues in Rivers State. Glad you could join us, Mr. Yobana.
Well, thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers.
All right. The decision of the court ruling that the CBN and the federal government should not give Rivers State its October FARC allocation, well, that has actually been done. But do you think it's justified?
Well, there's no justice to that decision. But I know that the federal government has retracted that decision by saying that they are going to ensure that Rivers State government receives its due allocation pending the issues that the appeal and other cases that are in court. But for us to face these things we actually talking about, Rivers State has a right to every kobo that is allocated to it, because Rivers State is not just any other state. It is one of the very few states in Nigeria that actually generated the revenue that other states are sharing. And if we are talking about an allocation coming to the state, the law makes it very clear on why these monies have to be put into the FARC account so that all the states will share from there, and how these monies are to be generated and from where these monies will come from. And a state like Rivers State produces at least the second highest amount to the federation account after Lagos State and maybe the FCT. So what can you tell the people of Rivers State? That the medical facilities will shut down, medical workers will not have their funds, workers will not be paid, the business, the day-to-day business of running governance will stop, and that it will affect all sectors. So what are you trying to say, that even the oil sector where people work, that those people will not be able to go to work any longer? So I think it was not a very good decision for anybody who thought about it in the first place. But be it as it may, the case is still in court, the sub judice, and the Rivers State government has appealed, and the federal government has done what is necessary by saying that they will hold on pending the outcome of the appeal and other cases in court.
Let's not forget, Mr. Yobana, that this case was actually taken to the court by citizens of Rivers State, talking about the state's lawmakers, and you are saying that it is not fair. So who then would you lay the blame on the doorstep of for this state of affairs?
Well, those former lawmakers, I call them former lawmakers because these are people who defected from the party in which they sought the votes of the electorate and were voted into the legislative arm of government in the state. And they defected to a different political party. And the speaker known to law at that time, recognized by a court of competent jurisdiction in the state, recognized Edison Ehie. At that time, they defected. Edison Ehie went further to declare their seats vacant. So, and the Constitution is very clear about those cases are still in court. They have not been returned they have not been returned as lawmakers. The cases are in appeal. Some are going to the Supreme Court. So until these cases are done with, they cannot represent themselves as lawmakers of Rivers State. The only lawmakers we have in Rivers State are those who did not defect. The rightful lawmakers we have are those 4 members that did not defect. And I think there are 5 of them, but one does not come to I've not seen him sitting with them for a while. I think there are two. There are about 7 of them or so. 2 of them are not sitting. One lady and one other fellow who has not been coming. So these are the lawmakers we have. And if you are talking about the issue of presentation of budget, which is different from what they went to court to stop an allocation, a budget is a statement of and expenditure and inflow that comes into a state. That statement on how the monies will be spent after it has been presented to the legislative and passed into law. That's when it becomes a budget.
The issue
so
is
I don't
that
see how you can marry
follow
a
due
budget
process. The point the court made was that these things did not follow due process, not only about the presentation of the budget, but also the improper conduct of the Rivers State local government elections. Those were the issues, and the court said that they did not follow due process. Thus, what you have as the decision of the court.
Well, I think the one for the local government has been upturned by the Court of Appeal. The one we are talking about is the one of the allocation that should be withheld, and that one is at the appeal level as we speak today. So those things are issues that the judiciary has to be careful, because the judiciary cannot drag us to a state where we are talking about the economy of the country is suffering as we speak today. Then you are dragging a state like Rivers State into a problem where it will not affect the resources of the country itself. The president is seriously running from one place to the other, trying to woo investors, trying to see how he can get foreign loans and all that. And you're here toiling with a state that produces the 3rd highest revenue for the country. I don't see how that will revenue, work. Mr. The judiciary, it is...
Mr. Yobana, okay, well, now that has already happened, so how then would Rivers State survive, or is it possible that the state would survive without its October revenue? How would this happen?
Well, for the October revenue, I don't think the federal government would withhold it, but you withhold the revenue or not. Rivers State generates a lot of revenue for ourselves. State is self-sustaining. Look at the projects the governor has been doing without borrowing a kobo. Rivers State government is one of the very few governments in Nigeria that has not borrowed a kobo for any project. The internal generated revenue in the state, we have been using our IGR very well. In Rivers State, where you don't have projects going on in terms of healthcare, in terms of the educational sector, in terms of infrastructure, different areas on. So, with or without the federal government given to the state will still move on. But it is a thing of right. It is our right. So we cannot give it out to anybody. And nobody can sit down in Abuja or anywhere. The state will not have their fair share of the federal allocation. It's not possible. What you are trying to do is that you are saying that the federal government does not need any revenue from Rivers State any longer. That if that is what you're saying, it means we are coming to a true federation where all the other components, the federating units, generate their own resources and give something to the center. It's supposed to be. Not you taking all our resources and telling us that we are not going to get our own allocation. It's not fair. That's not justice. State, we have the highest producer of petroleum product, crude oil, is here. So what are you telling us? Are you saying that you are not ready to derive the benefits of the production of what do you call it, of crude oil?
All right, very good question there, Mr. Yobana.
Fighting insecurity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we don't know for how long this situation is going to persist, but we'd like to say thank you very much, Mr. Yobana, for your thoughts on the situation in Rivers State.